Today I'm going to be speaking about memorials. I did a little trip with the family and we went to Lido Beach. And there was a memorial there in the town of Hempstead, a 9/11 memorial. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about memorials. And I have a few video clips of that trip, very brief video clips. And as we look at those clips and think about why memorials are important, I'm going to connect the idea of memorials with the Bible. But in general, people throughout the ages have set up memorials as reminders. And you think about the word memorial, you hear the word memory. And so throughout history, throughout the ages and different cultures all over the world, memorials have been set up to remind people of important historical events of significance that it is understood should not be forgotten. I'm over here in Long Beach. All right, Long Beach, and this is the town of Hempstead September 11th Memorial in Long Beach. American first responders, lives lost to terrorism. Many names here. Post 11, 2001 first responder victims. So that was some footage of a memorial in the town of Hempstead by Lido Beach, which I believe is at the end of Long Beach. And so you can see that because of the importance of that event and all the lives that were affected and the impact of the destruction of the World Trade Center, that terrorist attack and an attack on America, and how it had such a historical impact, a memorial was set up as a reminder there in the town of Hempstead. So this is here. Wide flange steel recovered from World Trade Center. Melted with the heat. So that large piece of steel serves as a visual reminder to people about the severity of the attack. And so it's there to remind people, to help them to not forget an important event that has happened. And as I said, this is an example, and in different cultures, in different places, all over the world, there are monuments, there are memorials that help people to retain in their memory things that should be retained. There is, for example, the Holocaust Museum in Israel. In different parts of the world where people were impacted, where people were attacked, or when some great tragic event happened, or some heroic event or a heroic person is to be remembered, memorials are set up. Memorials are set up to remember good things. They are set up to remember times of triumph. They are set up to remember times of victory. They are set up to remember times of tragedy, so that history stays with us. What's this here? Big table. Flag flying half-staff. They are immortal. All those stars, both silvery and golden, shall shine out again. The great stars and the little ones shall shine out again. They endure the vast immortal suns, and the long enduring pensive moons shall again shine. On the beach at night, Walt Whitman. And so there we saw that these words of Walt Whitman are also used as a way to remind people of what happened. So words are used. We saw a melted steel beams used, and we see the structure that overpass, the signs with people's names so that they are not forgotten. All of these things are used to help people to really remember this important event. And so you walk through this memorial, as you can see, and once you go through it, you see the beach. Or you go toward the beach. If you go up here on this side of the memorial, you can take a walk up these stairs. So it is an overpass there. You go down the other side. So obviously, when you go to a place like this, you're supposed to show some kind of reverence. And one of the ways that is supposed to happen is you're supposed to be quiet. You're supposed to treat a memorial with respect. There's supposed to be some level of respect. There's supposed to be, and one of the ways that that is shown is that people are usually quiet, or they're supposed to be quiet. When people are laughing or joking around, for example, if they go to the Vietnam Memorial and they're laughing and they're clowning around, it's disrespectful to those who want to take the memorial seriously. If you're taking something seriously, you focus on it, you pay attention to it. Just like if a person's reading a book, they stay very quiet. If they're watching a movie, they watch it carefully. They don't joke around or they'll miss what's going on. So I've been talking about memorials, and a quick search over the internet, and this definition comes up. Something, especially a structure, established to remind people of a person or event. On Edim Online, I looked up the word memorial, and as you look at the information that comes up here on this website, Online Etymology Dictionary, you see the connection between memory and memorial. And it's not hard to hear that when you say the word. Now, in the book of Joshua, Joshua chapter 4, we read, this is the New King James Version, "And it came to pass, when all the people had completely crossed over the Jordan, that the Lord spoke to Joshua, saying, Take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man from every tribe, and command them, saying, Take for yourselves 12 stones from here, out of the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood firm. You shall carry them over with you, and leave them in the lodging place where you lodge tonight. Then Joshua called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the children of Israel, 1 man from every tribe, and Joshua said to them, Cross over before the ark of the Lord your God into the midst of the Jordan, and each one of you take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, that this may be a sign among you when your children ask in time to come, saying, What do these stones mean to you? What do these stones mean to you? Then you shall answer them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off, and these stones shall be for a memorial to the children of Israel forever. Okay, so we see the connection between a sign in verse 6, that this may be a sign among you, and a memorial, So we see this sign is also a memorial. These stones serve as a sign. They also serve as a memorial. And going in BibleHub.com, looking up the verse, we see the Hebrew word that is used there for a memorial is designated in Strong's 2146. And here we see the Hebrew word zikron. And it says memorial or remembrance. Hebrew word, zikaron. We continue in Joshua 4, and we read, And those 12 stones which they took out of the Jordan, Joshua set up in Gilgal. Then he spoke to the children of Israel, saying, When your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What are these stones? Then you shall let your children know, saying, Israel crossed over this Jordan on dry land. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you had crossed over, as the Lord your God did to the Red Sea, which he dried up before us until we had crossed over, that all the peoples of the earth may know the hand of the Lord, that it is mighty, that you may fear the Lord your God forever. So This memorial served to remind them of the power of God, that they would fear God forever. And so the memorial is like a little overpass. In the town of Hempstead, that you pass through it. Please take a blessed rosary. So this is a Catholic box over here. 9/11, we will never forget. Now, obviously, a memorial is supposed to serve the purpose of affecting a person. A person is supposed to be affected. It doesn't really make any sense to remind someone of something if it's not going to affect how you live. So in the case of the 9/11 memorial, it's supposed to somehow affect how a person thinks and how they live their life. And so much more when we look in the Bible about the memorial in Joshua chapter 4. Those stones were not only to remind the Israelites for generations to come of what God had done, but by reminding them of the things that God had done, they were supposed to be affected in how they lived their life. They were supposed to live their lives in service to God. Here in Exodus 12:14, we read here concerning the Passover. So this day shall be to you a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it as a feast by an everlasting ordinance. Here in Exodus 13:13-16, we read, But every firstborn of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you will not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. And all the firstborn of man among your sons you shall redeem. So it shall be, when your sons ask you in time to come, saying, What is this? That you shall say to him, By strength of hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh was stubborn about letting us go, that the Lord killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrificed to the Lord all males that open the womb, but all the firstborn of my sons I redeem. It shall be as a sign on your hand and as frontlets between your eyes. For by strength of hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt. So the memorial is there to affect behavior. And so these rituals that were done, these things that were done, were because of what had happened and what God had done. And they were to be a sign, and it says here, a sign on your hand and as frontlets between your eyes. Reminders of the victory, reminders of something that had happened in the history of the Israelites. Exodus 20:8-11 gives us the Sabbath as a memorial. It talks about the Sabbath as a memorial. God had set up the Sabbath from creation, from creation. When God created, he rested on the seventh day. But here we have written down in Exodus 28 through 11, it tells us very clearly, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, this was something that God had established from the beginning. But here we are reading that we are to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. For the seventh day, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So the Sabbath day serves as a memorial. And so, just as when someone goes to a monument, or when someone goes to a memorial, like the 9/11 memorial, they're supposed to be quiet, they're supposed to show reverence, your behavior is to be affected. And so we see the Sabbath is a day that is supposed to affect your behavior. You're not supposed to treat it like other days. But not only is it supposed to affect your behavior at that point, but what the Sabbath is all about, the work that God has done, and the idea of reminding us that we must reverence God and worship him, it should affect the way we live our lives. Walking along past the 9/11 memorial, back there, going up here, toward the beach, boardwalk. So this 9/11 memorial there in the town of Hempstead is right in front of the beach, and you pass through it as you go to the beach. And on a day like the day that I and my family were there, it's very quiet. And so there is the perfect opportunity to reflect on what you were just reminded of. And it's very important in our own lives to take time to reflect on the lessons that we have learned from God and what he has done in our own lives. Here we read in the book of Mark, chapter 14, and being in Bethany, at the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at the table, a woman came having an alabaster flask of very costly oil of spikenard. Then she broke the flask and poured it on his head. This is Jesus. But there were some who were indignant among themselves and said, "Why was this fragrant oil wasted? For it might have been sold for more than 300 denarii and given to the poor." And they criticized her sharply. But Jesus said, "Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has done a good work for me. For you have the poor with you always, and whenever you wish, you may do them good. But me you do not have always. She has done what she could. She has come beforehand to anoint my body for burial. Assuredly, I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial to her." And here once again in the Bible Hub, we see here now in the Greek New Testament, the Greek word that is translated as a memorial. And it is pronounced mnemosynon. Mnemosynon. And as you could see, reminder, memorial, a remembrance offering. Mnemosynon. It reminds us of the English word mnemonic, a device such as a pattern of letters, ideas, or associations that assist in remembering something. So the word mnemonic, we can see a connection with this Greek word mnemosynon. Now this is the book by Gary DeMar, Memory Mechanics, and it's filled with mnemonics, devices to help you to remember things. And it's been very helpful to me. It's a very small book, but there's a lot of tricks in there to help you memorize things. So we could see memorizing is very important. Memory is obviously very important. It is important to remember events of history. It is important when there is an event that has major significance that should affect the way we behave and that should affect the way we live our lives. It is important for us to remember those events. So there are some devices in here. Some of them are interesting and may take a little getting used to. But books like these and other sources and resources that people use, and there are plenty of them, show how important memory is for people in a general sense. This is Lido Beach? Is Lido Beach part of Long Beach?
Yeah, it's like the end of Long Beach. Point Lookout. This is Point Lookout.
Point Lookout.
See, like this is the end of...
So you pass through the memorial, you have time to reflect, you enjoy your day at the beach, but then when you turn back, once again you're reminded of what the memorial is there to remind you of. And so when we look at the Bible and the idea of memorials in the Bible, we realize that whatever we're doing in life, we should always have God on our mind. We should always have an awareness of His presence in our lives. Here in the book of Romans, chapter 4, 20 to 24, we read, He did not waver. This is talking about Abraham. He did not waver at the promise of God through unbelief, but was strengthened in faith, giving glory to God, and being fully convinced that what he had promised he was able to perform. And therefore it was accounted to him for righteousness. Now it was not written for his sake alone that it was imputed to him, but also for us. It shall be imputed to us who believe in him, that is God, God the Father, who raised up Jesus our Lord from the dead. So just as we have memorials of stone, and just as we have memorials of steel, like we just saw, there are also memorials of words, the written word, the Bible. Romans 15:4 tells us, "For whatever things were written before were written for our learning, that we, through the patience and comfort of the Scriptures, might have hope." So there are memorials throughout the Bible. The Bible is a memorial. It is a blessing to commit Scriptures to memory. To memory. And there are ways to improve memory. There are ways to improve memory. One way is to share them with others. When you share the Scriptures with others, that helps to fuse them into your memory. And it is important to take time daily to remember the good lessons God has revealed to you and to remember what He has done in your life. Town of Hempstead, founded 1644. God bless.